on CNN, and the gang at Fox News is hard at work coming up with an excuse for if Biden does well at the debate.
All right, you may have seen, because I laughed when I saw it, Jimmy Kimmel did an entire clip on Donald Trump going absolutely nuts,
peddling a very misleading clip that claims to show Biden freezing up. Sean Hannity's now back to the if Trump loses the debate, it's because Biden's on drugs routine.
They're already lowering the expectation for Donald in the fact that when he shits this up, and he will, because again, he's going to simply attack. He doesn't know facts. That Donald Trump, all right, was not given questions to the debate.
Michael Cohen and Jimmy Kimmel recently revealed shocking information regarding Trump's purported drug use. Everyone is chatting when the former fixer turned late-night host revealed some wild tea. What specifically did they say that has Trump going crazy? However, we first need your help to help us expose Trump. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Kimmel and Cohen aren't accusing Trump of cooking meth in the Oval Office. No, they're suggesting something a bit more presidential. These two unlikely gossip buddies suggest that Trump's alleged drugs of choice aren't marijuana or cocaine. Instead, they claim it's Cialis and Adderall. Yes, you heard that right. The ADHD medication for kids and the little blue pill that spices up the bedroom. Who would have thought such an unusual combination would be associated with a president? Before jumping to conclusions about Trump scaling the White House walls or the implications of Cialis, it's worth noting that these accusations originated from a late-night TV chat between Kimmel and Cohen. It's neither an FBI investigation nor a congressional hearing, but rather a talk show moment. This is when the intriguing part comes in. Trump's former right-hand man Cohen didn't come up with this on the spur of the moment. He was retaliating against Sean Hannity, who had been speculating about Joe Biden perhaps utilizing stimulants to improve his debating skills.
And I can assure you, now I'm not his doctor, and I haven't piss tested him, or Donald for that matter, but I assure you, there's a lot of speculation out there right now about Joe Biden on drugs.
That kind of stuff was off limits to Cohen. He was quoted as saying, "I assure you that Joe Biden is not on drugs. It's so rude, it's so wrong that this is the way that people are talking these days." So Cohen decided to share some tea about his former employer while defending Biden. He portrayed Trump as a man who was only interested in tweets and couldn't be bothered to read anything lengthier. Cohen stated that Trump used to say, "You read it for me. Give me the top 5 or 6 bullet points." I suppose reading is difficult when you're focused on restoring America to its former glory.
He didn't want to read any of the memos. He didn't want to read any of the documents. In fact, what he told people to do, you read it for me, give me the top 5 or 6 bullet points.
But there's still more. Cohen made the argument that Trump's actions as president weren't precisely typical. He made a suggestion that the Donald's unpredictable conduct and desire for continual stimulation could be related to his suspected drug usage. Kimmel, being the comedian that he is, was compelled to weigh in. He made a joke, saying that in the case of Trump, we should search for Adderall and Cialis.
I like the idea. They do it to athletes. They do it to horses in horse racing. Why not do it to presidential candidates? I like the idea.
I like it too. I think it makes perfect sense. Let's do it. Let's test the president for caffeine. Let's test Trump for Adderall and Cialis.
If we were to begin drug testing presidential candidates. However, he also made fun of the notion of a magic argument pill, stating, "If such a thing exists, I would definitely like to have one as it sounds fantastic."
If there is, I would like one because it sounds great. It's all nuts. It's just all nuttiness. Somehow, though, he's buying this idea that there's some magic debate pill you can take that makes you...
It's all just nuttiness, nothing but nuts. Let's now take a moment to be honest. There isn't precisely a ton of evidence to support these claims. Based primarily on Trump's actions and some insider information from his former attorney, it's conjecture. Still, it raises some questions, doesn't it? Could this account for a few of Trump's more unusual moments as president? Do you recall the moments when he would suddenly go off on a tangent during speeches? Or those Twitter storms that happened late at night and left people baffled? Perhaps it was more than Trump being Trump. Perhaps it was Trump's purported use of Adderall and Cialis. There are a lot of outrageous accusations being made, but let's pause for a moment and examine the sources of the information. Jimmy Kimmel, the master of late-night humor, is on one side. Conversely, Michael Cohen, the former right-hand man of Trump, who is now his adversary. What a strange duo.
Or he's on cocaine. I don't know if you heard that one. It's so rude. It's so wrong that this is the way that people are talking these days. It's nonsense. But what he was really alluding to is something that Donald had said while he was on the trail, that Joe Biden is taking some form of a stimulant.
Now, Kimmel is by no means an amateur when it comes to believability. Since way back in 2003, he has been making jokes and mocking politicians on Jimmy Kimmel Live. That's 20 years of entertaining and educating us. The problem is that he is a comedian, not a journalist. His role is not to deliver dire news. Rather, it is to make us laugh. Thus, we should proceed with caution when he discusses Trump's purported habit of popping pills or perhaps a shaker. However, what about Cohen? This man's past is more convoluted than President Trump's tax returns. He was formerly Trump's personal lawyer, his fixer, the one who made issues go away. It seems impressive, doesn't it? Not quite so quickly, though. Cohen has several skeletons in his own closet. He served time in prison for offenses like lying to Congress and breaking campaign finance regulation. Not exactly a spotless history. Therefore, why should we trust whatever Cohen says regarding Trump? That's when things start to become interesting. Cohen spent years as a member of Trump's closest circle. He is aware of the locations of the graves, figuratively speaking, of course. The worst part is that Cohen believes Trump has deceived him. He claims that Trump treated him like yesterday's garbage and used him. Thus, is Cohen seeking retribution, or is he disclosing information in order to correct the record? What about Kimmel too? Yes, he doesn't like for Trump, but how does this serve his purpose? Is he merely attempting to maintain his popularity? Trump jokes are, after all, hilarious gold. Or perhaps he really thinks that by bringing this dirty laundry to light, he's serving the public interest. It is similar to attempting to determine which person to believe in a he said game in which nobody is particularly trustworthy. In addition to having the audience and the platform, Kimmel has a personal stake in keeping viewers interested. Although Cohen has access to insider information, he also has a bigger target on his back than Paul Bunyan. So here we are attempting to separate fact from fiction from a discredited lawyer and a late-night comic. It's similar to attempting to locate a needle in a haystack. That is, if the haystack was on fire and the needle was made of jello. Is this the genuine deal, or are we just getting a big helping of sour grapes and a side order of ratings grab? Undoubtedly, this entire situation serves as an excellent illustration of how insane our political debate has becoming. Comedians and convicted criminals are providing us with news, and for some reason that seems completely normal. It's as if we're living in a surrealistic universe where left is right, up is down, and the man who used to exclaim, "You're fired," on television may have been governing the nation while high on blue pills and attention deficit disorder medications. Now that we've heard the outrageous allegations and gotten to know our improbable dynamic dish spilling pair, it's time to sort the wheat from the chaff. What is the true meaning of all the rumors about Trump taking tablets like Tic Tacs? Let's get down to the harsh, cold facts first. Or perhaps the absence of them. The shocking thing is that there isn't nearly as much concrete proof for these medicine claims as there is hair on Trump's real scalp. Nothing at all, nothing you could bring to court without everyone in the room laughing you out. Don't get me wrong though, it's not like Cohen is creating this stuff out of thin air. Having been in Trump's inner circle, he has seen the man directly. However, when it comes to concrete evidence, Cohen is, to put it mildly, about as prepared as Trump's press secretary at a fact-checking conference. Cohen acknowledges this himself. He was quoted as saying, "I can assure you I can now. I'm not his doctor, and I haven't piss tested him or Donald for that matter, but I assure you that Joe Biden is not on drugs." And that's it for now, people. Nothing official, no pee in a cup, just plain old gossip. However, as they say, evidence does not always imply absence.
Everything here is very specific. There is minutia that you have to know when you are dealing with international crisis. How can you possibly know what the hell you're talking about off of bullet points?
Now let's examine a few of Trump's biggest hits that may cause you to pause and consider. Do you recall those arguments where he was sniffling more than a cold-headed bloodhound? Or those moments when he would veer off into bizarre digressions that made no more sense than a submarine screen door? Cohen presents an image of a man who was just interested in tweets and couldn't be bothered to read anything lengthier. According to him, Trump used to say, "You read it for me, give me the top 5 or 6 bullet points." Now is that due to drug use or simply plain old laziness? Both of our guesses are valid, not to mention the incident where Trump allegedly lost it on the set of The Apprentice. Cohen spills the coffee. He acted like a child on set. If they weren't ready to shoot his scenes when he showed up, he stormed off and wouldn't come back for hours. It seems like someone needs to take a break or simply relax. Whoa, that's exactly what we're attempting to ascertain. The problem is that it is more difficult to prove these kinds of accusations than it is to persuade Trump to acknowledge that he lost the election. It's all conjecture and political mudslinging without hard proof. It's disorganized disorganized, irritating, and ultimately useless, much like attempting to attach Jell-O to a wall. Cohen and Kimmel also seem to be aware of this. They don't precisely portray their arguments as unquestionable truths. Kimmel even makes fun of the concept of a magic debate pill. He was joking, if there is a magic debate pill, I would like one because it sounds great. What then remains for us? Lots of smoke, but there was no smoking gun. This is the kind of tale that would probably not hold up in court, but makes for fantastic late-night television and salacious gossip, or for that matter, the court of public opinion. People, it appears that this late-night bombshell has caused more than just ruffles in Washington, D.C.
And CNN says they'll use all tools at their disposal to enforce timing and ensure a civilized discussion, which is a nice way of saying both sides have signed off on the terms of the debate, which seemed like it would be impossible, but they have. There will be no audience. Microphones will be muted when the other person is speaking.
It has the entire nation buzzing like a golf club hit beehive. And let me tell you, the responses are as varied as Trump's commercial endeavors. On both sides of the aisle, folks are going insane. Some people are rolling their eyes so hard they might get stuck that way, while others are clutching their pearls so tightly they might turn into diamonds. It's similar to watching a game of political ping pong when the players are slamming around denials and accusations rather than a ball. Now, you would think it would be startling to hear about a past president who was supposedly a drug user. But it's only Tuesday in Trump's America. While some are dismissing these accusations faster than Trump fires cabinet members, others are swallowing them up like they're the final Big Macs at Mar-a-Lago. With this one, social media has been giddy. It's like a match being thrown into a garbage full of fireworks. Memes are rising faster than a windstorm carrying President Trump's toupee, and hashtags are becoming popular faster than you can pronounce Kov-Fef. However, opinions aren't limited to Facebook philosophers and Twitter warriors. Oh no, the big boys are also playing. On Fox News, Sean Hannity is promoting the absurd theory that Biden is the one preparing for debates. Come on, Sean, please. The next thing we know, he'll be claiming that Biden has a jetpack concealed beneath his suit jacket. And let's not forget about Donald Trump Jr. How lucky he is.
He's going to be all hyped up, hyper caffeinated, whatever it is. It's interesting that 70% of the country does like the idea of drug testing. The Joe Biden that we're talking about tonight, I don't think will be the Joe Biden we're going to see on debate night. I think the Joe Biden we see on debate night is going to be the guy that we saw at the State of the Union.
He's all over the place, screaming about AI-generated material as if he's found fire. Seeing him try to divert attention from his father's problems is almost endearing. However, Junior, my friend, your efforts at deceit are as subdued as a MAGA hat at a Democratic convention. Not to be forgotten is the man of the hour. Trump has remained remarkably silent over the entire situation. Perhaps he is occupied with rehearsing his perp walk, or maybe he has just ran out of caps lock. In any case, his quiet speaks louder than his typical tirades on Twitter. The worst part is that a lot of people are simply exhausted. This tale is being viewed by them as merely another installment in the never-ending reality show that is American politics. Sure, some are astonished, but what about others? Their level of surprise is comparable to learning that water is moist, and it feels as though we are all trapped in a strange political twilight zone where nothing is truly shocking. Drug-related accusations? Oh well. Possibility of criminal charges? Just one more day that ends in I. Before you can say fake news, we went from saying, I cannot tell a lie, to saying, I cannot tell if this is real life. Now that we've witnessed the surprise and heard the skepticism, what will happen if these outrageous assertions prove to be more than just idle talk? People.
He's going to be rock solid during the debate simply because Joe Biden knows the facts. And because they know that he's going to be rock solid during a debate. Let me be clear about something. Why is Joe Biden going to be rock solid during the debate?
It appears that we may be witnessing a completely new form of Trump controversy, one that cannot be resolved by a forceful tweet or a strategically scheduled rally. Talk about the legal ramifications. Trump can find himself in more hot water than a lobster at a seafood festival if these drug accusations hold up. This goes beyond merely giving someone a slap on the wrist. Doing drugs illegally, selling them, or attempting to conceal drug abuse. That's the type of material that judges scowl and attorneys perspire over. It appears as though Trump is engaging in a legal Jenga game, and this could be the move that topples the entire tower. Hold on though, for this political feast is only beginning with the legal drama. Let's discuss Trump's political future, which is the main course. Imagine this. Trump, the self-described master dealmaker, is attempting to resolve drug-related issues while attempting to win over supporters. It's like trying to sell ice to Eskimos, only the Eskimos have Google, and the ice is really just water. More damage to his reputation could be done than by an AOC tweet. How does the Republican Party fare they find themselves caught between a rock and a hard place, or maybe more accurately, a Trump and a hard place. Do they abandon their buddy and run the chance of sinking with the ship, or do they abandon ship and incur the fury of the MAGA supporters? Let me tell you, there are more holes in the safety net than in Swiss cheese. It's a political tightrope walk. Let's zoom out now to see the larger image. The election of 2024, it can be a completely different game. The Republican Party may split up quicker than a glass house during an earthquake. The never-Trumpers and Trump supporters are on opposite sides of the political spectrum, with a large number of perplexed voters in the middle who wonder if they have wandered into an episode of The Twilight Zone. The troubling aspect is that all this turmoil might not justify itself. Remember, these are allegations, not solid fact. It's like attempting to secure something slippery onto a vertical surface. It's messy, frustrating, and might not hold in the end. Trump's team's likely strategy will involve loudly dismissing it as fake news and claiming everything is rigged. As Cohen pointed out, they could start proclaiming that political events or debates are fixed to shore up their support. What does this ultimately mean for everyday voters?
They're going to claim Joe received the questions in advance. They're going to play that whole Hillary Clinton thing.
It feels like we're all trapped in a political reality show where the stakes keep rising and the plots keep getting stranger. One moment we're discussing policies, the next we're debating whether the former leader of the country was using Tic Tac-like drugs. Donald Trump's presidency from 2016 to 2020 was marked by controversy, bold claims, and a tumultuous political landscape. Throughout his time in office, questions and speculations about his leadership, behavior, and personal habits frequently surfaced in public discourse.
In fact, we've had problems at the borders for more than 5 decades, and every president since has kicked that can down the road. We have a real problem at the borders. There's a real problem at the borders. No shit, Sherlock. All right? We know there's been a problem.
One recurring topic of discussion was whether Trump had any dependencies on drugs or substances that might affect his ability to govern effectively. Critics and some media outlets occasionally raised concerns about Trump's behavior, suggesting it could be indicative of substance use. However, no concrete evidence was ever publicly presented to substantiate these claims. It's important to distinguish between speculation and verified information when discussing such sensitive topics, especially concerning a figure as polarizing as Donald Trump. During his presidency, Trump himself often used strong rhetoric to describe his administration's achievements and goals. He frequently portrayed his tenure as a period of significant progress for the country, emphasizing economic growth, job creation, and his efforts to enact conservative policies. However, his leadership style and policies drew both fervent support and sharp criticism from various quarters of American society. For many Americans, evaluating Trump's presidency involves examining both his policy decisions and his personal conduct. His unconventional approach to communication, extensive use of social media, and confrontational style in dealing with opponents became defining characteristics of his presidency. Supporters viewed these traits as refreshing and indicative of a leader willing to challenge the status quo, while detractors often criticized them as divisive and damaging to national unity. The question of whether Trump could effectively lead while possibly dealing with personal issues, such as substance use, remains a contentious topic. Critics argue that any potential substance dependencies could impair judgment, affect decision-making, and undermine public trust in the presidency. Proponents, on the other hand, maintain that Trump's policies and actions should be evaluated on their own merits, separate from personal speculations. Throughout his presidency, Trump faced numerous challenges and controversies, including investigations into his campaign's alleged ties to Russia, impeachment proceedings, and contentious responses to domestic protests and international crises. These events further fueled public debate about his leadership capabilities and personal integrity. In assessing Trump's impact on the country, supporters point to his administration's achievements, such as tax reforms, judicial appointments, and regulatory changes aimed at stimulating economic growth. They argue that his business background and outsider status brought a unique perspective to Washington, challenging conventional political norms. Conversely, critics highlight issues such as increased political polarization, concerns over racial tensions, and environmental policy rollbacks as evidence of what they perceive as detrimental consequences of Trump's presidency. They argue that his leadership exacerbated societal divisions and failed to address pressing issues adequately. As Trump campaigned for re-election in 2020, he faced scrutiny not only over his record in office, but also over his personal conduct and fitness for leadership. Opponents highlighted his controversial statements, perceived mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic, and ongoing legal battles as reasons to seek a change in leadership. Ultimately, the 2020 election saw Trump defeated by Joe Biden, marking marking the end of his presidency. The transition of power was marred by Trump's refusal to concede and baseless claims of widespread voter fraud, culminating in the January 6th Capitol riot. These events underscored the deep divisions within American society and the challenges of maintaining democratic norms during a period of heightened political tensions. In conclusion, evaluating Donald Trump's presidency involves considering a complex mix of policy achievements, personal controversies, and societal impacts. Questions about his personal habits, including any potential substance use, add another layer to this assessment. While definitive conclusions may vary depending on one's political perspective, understanding the full scope of Trump's presidency requires careful examination of both his actions as president and the broader implications for American democracy and governance.